Hi, everyone. Welcome to our TalentLMS Talks webinar series. Here, along with our experts, we discuss the latest trends and topics to help you make the most out of your training. And today we have a lot to talk about. So get ready for a session where you will see how you can make training a marketable initiative for your organization and how to pave the way for more rewarding staff and customer interactions, of course, through training. Let's get started. And the first thing that we have to let you know is that this session is recorded. You will receive the recording once the session is over. So just the next day, look at your inbox and make sure that you can share the recording with anybody who wants to learn more about our topic today. Let's get to know each other. My name is Theo. I am the education community trainer here in TalentLMS, and I'll be the host of the webinar today. But I have the pleasure of having with me today Gina and Amelie from our marketing team.
Hi there, my name's Gina Leonatos. I'm the brand marketing manager at TalentLMS. I've been with TalentLMS for just over 3.5 years now, and I've been working in the marketing, PR, events, and brand space for over 15 years. And I'm really happy to be with you all today.
And I'm Amelie Marion, and I'm the product marketing associate here at TalentLMS. I've been with TalentLMS with Epignosis for a couple of years now, and I'm looking forward to chatting with you today.
And we have a lot to talk about. So thank you, Gina and Amelie, for being with us today. And a couple of topics that we will touch base on is first, how internal training can boost your employer brand. And then we will expand on how external training can be a marketable product for your organization. Of course, we are here to show you results. So we will share a customer story showcasing how Formlabs created a world-class partner training program. Of course, we are also here to answer your questions. So use the Q&A button that you see in the meeting controls to ask your question, and we will be able to answer as many as possible live. In fact, we have Mary behind the scenes, and she will also be able to help with questions, but bring any questions forward, and we would love to engage in a discussion with you. So let's do this. And especially now, more than ever, companies invest heavily in their employer brands. So why now, though? Why now? And what should be at the core of those efforts, especially Gina?
Sure, Theo. So essentially, the talent shortages of 2022 continue to persist in 2023. Although they have somewhat stabilized, they've definitely hung around. In the current talent shortage, building your employer brand is a key way of standing out from your competitors. When it comes to your employer brand specifically, you have two key audiences. You have potential hires and existing employees. So we'll take a look at both groups. So people who are looking for new employment opportunities want to be part of something greater, and they're usually drawn to those organizations that are thought leaders in their industry. So internal training is a key pillar of building your employer brand and attracting world-class talent. Why? Well, by investing in employee development, you're cultivating a culture of progress, and you're displaying that there is room for career growth within your organization. Because let's face it, at the end of the day, people rarely want to remain in the position that they're initially hired for. And when it comes to employer branding, your current employees are in fact your best form of marketing. When people feel valued, when they feel motivated, they're likely to not only stay with an organization for longer, but they become advocates for the company. Now, research has shown that hiring candidates that have been referred by existing staff is faster and it's more cost effective. So referred candidates are also more likely to stay in the job for longer than traditional hires. Now, while referrals certainly shouldn't be your only source of recruiting, they are an important part of the hiring mix. And while different roles and departments will always have their own unique training needs in terms of compliance, upskilling or reskilling, there are definitely skill sets that are needed by all people. And these skill sets and the development of these skill sets is what helps to keep them motivated and keep them moving forward in their career. In a study we conducted last year at TalentLMS, 82% of employees surveyed said that they felt it was important to get training on soft skills, or what we also refer to as power skills. The number one voted soft skill that people wanted to get training on is leadership. Now, if you're wondering what type of employee training you'll offer this year, maybe you're not sure where to get started. Getting started with the most in-demand topics is a great way to go, especially when it comes to power skills. So whether it's time management, communication, collaboration, critical thinking, problem solving, innovation, or inclusivity, these are the power skills that are important for each and every employee.
And that's right. These are skills that we like to provide training as well here in TalentLMS. And especially investing in internal training, without a doubt, sets you miles ahead as an employer. But let's change tracks now and let's talk about every organization's bread and butter, their customers and their external partners. As an organization, how can you use training to your advantage to engage people in order to keep using your products and services? What can we do about it?
So when it comes to marketing to your existing customers, but also your potential customers, I really believe that training is such an underrated secret weapon, especially if you're competing in a saturated market. Making training a part of your product offering actually provides you a competitive advantage. And let's take a bit of a look at that. It's pretty simple, really. Imagine you're thinking about buying a new camera, for example. You've come across two fantastic options. They're nearly identical in features, functionality, and even price. Now, vendor one offers you the option to jump online and learn a bit more about how to get the maximum value out of the product. Maybe even unlock some secret features and also stay up to date on any updates taking place down the track. Vendor two doesn't. They just sell you the camera. Which would you choose? Offering value-added services like customer training is proof. It becomes proof of your commitment to customer success. By providing useful and insightful customer training, you're not just selling a product, but you're actually creating a more complete and holistic customer experience. By engaging your customers in this way, you set yourself apart in the eyes of potential customers. And what's more, and this is an important one, you're also creating a more engaged and loyal customer base, which in turn reduces churn and turns customers into product and brand advocates. And that has a very clear benefit on your bottom line. And this is why we often refer to customer education as customer empowerment. For us, we really believe that a product or service should help customers do what they do best and do it even better than they did before. And that's really the power of customer training from a marketing perspective.
That's spot on. And to be fair, we have all been customers, right? And I always remember purchasing goods or subscribing to services that not only just give me how to, everybody can do that, but they give me thorough training, especially not only on how to use a product, but most importantly on how I can make the most out of what I have paid and how can I actually benefit more from different features and different offerings that they have. So let's look into something different. And I'm turning to you, Emily, for this one. Yep. I wonder how training would equally benefit vendors or partners of a company. We just saw how it works for customers, but what about vendors and partners?
Yeah, so basically offering training as part of your service really strengthens your partnership and it expands its potential. But it's not just that, it's also a way to allow vendors and partners to become more efficient. We had customers who shared their story with us and reported that being able to create courses and develop them as they went made their partner more successful. The reason they shared for this is that they were able to give them access in just a few clicks to the content they needed. They basically took away the tediousness out of training. So vendors and partners who receive trainings, we found that they're more likely to turn into brand ambassadors for your organization and see from their own standpoint added value of the know-how you offer as they become points of contact and experts who help their own customers. Training is a way to enable them and give them the required tool to represent you and your brand properly. So by training your partners and your vendors, you give them the keys, you empower them to support their customers as experts without having to turn to you all the time. So it's a way to reduce solution turnaround time. So investing in partner training is more likely to help you increase retention rates, sales, and referrals in the industry. But one more thing that is quite important to note here is that customers don't only come through partners and vendors, they also come straight to you. And training your customers is your way of thanking them for their business. They offer loyalty, and you offer knowledge and skills they need to maximize their investment and make the most efficient use of your organization, products, and services.
Thanks, Amelie. And you mentioned something very important here. You mentioned that customers that share their stories with us, and through training, they are the ones who actually made their partners more successful. So what I'm intrigued to find here is, how can we do that? Is there an example that you can share with us?
Yeah, absolutely. A very striking example is Formlabs. They're customers of ours and have been for many years now. And they're a company who develops and manufactures 3D printers and softwares. Their TalentLMS story is pretty cool when it comes to success through training. Formlabs relies heavily on a network of partners to sell their technologies to big companies like Google, Sony, or even Tesla. And they have partners worldwide. And as they are the ones closest to the end user, they need to know their product. They need to be able to deliver amazing customer service and turn them into brand ambassadors. Otherwise, basically, the result for Formlab would be pretty terrible. So at first, before Formlab started with us, they were delivering on-site training only, which was, as you can probably imagine, it wasn't practical. It was incredibly expensive for them because they had to fly in people to do on-site training. It was incredibly time consuming as well. And ultimately their partners didn't enjoy it because it was too much information in too little time. So they left Formlabs HQ and the training day without really keeping anything with them. So the solution Formlab found at that time was TalentLMS. It provided them with a scalable solution that was easy to manage and that everyone could access no matter where they were in the world and what they were currently doing. So from one day to the next, they were able to train around 1,800 partners technicians, while on site, they were delivering a certification to way fewer people. They were delivering certification to 300, 400 partners. So they created different branches based on the location and the audiences. They created internal and external training, and that was it. They were basically set up. So very quickly, their partners knew where and how to contact them. They were fully trained. They had the tools to help their customers in the blink of an eye. Their partner loved it because they were able to go through the training at their own pace. They didn't have the stress of going to an on-site location and pack everything in a day. Basically, they didn't have to rush to training and they could make it something pretty enjoyable. So they got to learn and love Formlabs and the brand and the product in their own time, which is more likely in turn a way for them to turn them into product lovers that might not have happened with on-site training. And the best part about this story is that not only did TalentLMS allow them to train partners everywhere in the world and to turn them into brand lovers, but it also increased their productivity. Because what it did for Formlab is that it gave their partner more time to work hands-on with the machine.
Thanks, Amelie. This was actually a really good example of how TalentLMS can really help you and benefit you when you want to leverage your training efforts. Now, what makes TalentLMS different though, and what really can make a difference in your own training journey is the supports and the guidance that you get from our teams in TalentLMS. In fact, you get to ask questions and work with our very responsive and very knowledgeable support team. And these are resources available to everybody, right? And you can also attend our live webinars on a variety of topics about TalentLMS. Our goal here is to really make you master TalentLMS. And we are offering training, right? And we believe in training. So you can also get training sessions from our dedicated team. So that way you become experts in TalentLMS and you really see the true value of the investment that you have made. And also, the premium and enterprise annual plans have an extra layer of personalized services for you, the customers. And especially, this is available to the customers who have scaled up their training needs. So apart from the resources that I already mentioned, apart from support, apart from the webinars, apart from the training sessions, you also get an account manager. The account manager is your dedicated point of contact, which will help you with best practices and guidance and resources and any subscription related questions. So throughout the duration of your enterprise and premium annual subscription, you get to have your dedicated point of contact. And also, very important, we have an onboarding team. So you can work with our onboarding specialists to build together the structure, the organization, and the setup of your account. So that way you can start on the right foot. So when we say that we have support for everybody, we really mean that we invest in support, training, and guidance along the way. And of course, the most important part here is to answer your questions. So also, I would like to thank Gina and Amelie for sharing their expertise so far. But now let me just get a question first to Gina, and then we will move on with the rest. So David, Gina is asking, how does LMS training have an advantage over traditional person-to-person training?
Yeah, sure. That's a great question, David. And it's, it's obviously a question that people do ask at the beginning of their journey looking into LMSs and into remote and online training. And there's, in terms of the advantages of using an LMS, the list is pretty endless, but I thought maybe I can just touch on a few of the main ones. Firstly, the fact that training can be accessible anywhere and anytime when it's offered online. It doesn't have, not everybody has, the stars don't have to align for everybody to be available at the same time to take their training. So it's what we call asynchronous training, where people take it in their own time, when their schedule allows them to. Certainly deadlines can be set and people need to work around those, but just the flexibility that it offers people and the accessibility of anywhere, anytime. Also, it's quite cost efficient. So things like, travel to get to and from office or workspace. There's a lot of cost efficiencies in terms of providing it online and having it always on, always available. Certainly flexible. In-person training, it has its own, certainly has its own benefits. And we're definitely also proponents for hybrid learning. So for people, giving people the flexibility to do both, whether it is doing 80% online and 20% in person, or whatever each organization feels is the best fit. Of course, some organizations have a purely remote workforce now, and that's where the in-person training becomes an even bigger kind of undertaking. But what we also find is that with in-person training, there's often an information overload. There's kind of this stress to get every single message put forward in a 4-hour training session, versus allowing people to break their training up into digestible 20 or 30-minute sessions, as an example. So kind of that information overload is one of the, let's say, the cons of in-person training. And definitely, as Amelie mentioned in the example she shared before, scalability. So the fact that you doing online training, you're able to train at scale and reach so many more people, whether it's internal training or whether it is indeed external parties like customers, partners, and other vendors. Just the sheer reach and scalability of the online training is definitely a huge plus for online.
Thank you, Gina. And actually, that is a really good segue for Danielle. So Amelie, I'm coming to you here. So Danielle is asking, do you have any tips for keeping engagement up when it comes to on-demand training? We find it that it's the most difficult thing about the flexible training. So how can we help Danielle?
Yep. We understand, and it is something that is very common when it comes to e-learning generally, that engaging your learner is an actual complicated thing. You have to scratch your head a lot in order to find a way to do that. And using an LMS and TalentLMS in this case, it offers you some solution to get around that. The first one that comes to mind is the gamification that we have set up in TalentLMS. It's a great way to engage your learners, to put them into some challenges. We had some customers who created leaderboards, and they had some reward system with short competition within their customers, partners, users. And the first one to come up would have a little price of something, and this is something that helps learners turn signing into the platform and take the courses basically. Another thing as well is the certificate. Creating certification and rewarding your learners for their achievement is something that is quite important and that learners are looking for, and that will definitely help them turn up.
And I might add to that as well, offering a mix of media types is also a great way of keeping your learners engaged. So perhaps that means you've got some written content, perhaps that means you've got some video content, perhaps you've got a SCORM file, perhaps you've got a quiz. So really trying to mix up the media that you're using rather than having everything in the one size fits all kind of approach. We find that definitely drives really high user engagement too.
Thank you so much, both. And this is always, good set of features and good set of tips that, everybody can utilize, even at the first stages when you actually try TalentLMS as part of your free account. Let me just have a question here. This is from Nikki, and I think I'm going to answer this one. So Nikki says, Gina mentioned courses from Talent Library in the beginning. Can we see a list of courses? Well, Nikki, yes, you can. And in fact, Talent Library has more than 600, if I remember correctly, even more courses that you can use. So yes, there is a list of the courses. So Mary kindly on the chat will drop this right now. And in fact, Talent Library is not just a set of contents just put into courses. It's interactive training. So you get popular characters that people can recognize. You get contents in SCORM format where people can interact with. And the most important part, you also have tests that are built in the courses. So you don't have to create your own test. You don't have to create your own quiz. So just get them from the library, and then you can just pass it on to your learners right away. And we have courses in Talent Library in English and in Spanish. So you can have more linguistic options there. And one final thing before I jump back to Amelie and Gina. If you want to test Talent Library, because that's what's probably you want to see as well, apart from the courses, you want to experience Talent Library as well. We have a 14-day trial. And again, you can send us an email. Our email address is trainingteam@talentlms.com. And we can add you into our dedicated account so you can have an experience firsthand of the courses. You will see them as a learner. So you can see exactly how your people will experience the courses if you decide to go with Talent Library. And now a question that comes from Caitlin. And I'm going to point Amelie, but of course, we're all into a chat here, so anybody can chime in. Caitlin is asking, any suggestions for an organization that has never offered customer vendor training? How to introduce the new offering to our partners? Any tips?
So I would say that first of all, you would need to probably define what you want to do with the courses and what is your end game with it. And then you have to decide whether you're going to create the content from the get-go and start from scratch, or if you're going to get some courses that are pre-made either through Talent Library, like Theo mentioned, or even through the course catalog that we have in TalentLMS. You have to build that up, create some content that will be engaging for your partners and your vendors, that will be relevant to them. And then once you have that, you can create different environments for them that will speak to them. You can create, thanks to branches, you can basically create a portal for each of your vendors, make it theirs so that they feel like they're special and it is their thing. It's not just a general thing that you can do for everyone. This is something that you're doing for them and for them to perform better and for them to feel like you care about them as well. Something else that you could do as well could be, the customization that goes within the branches. and the courses, certificate program, learners, certification, yes, and gamification as well. Maybe some competition between the different partners, if that makes sense. That could be a way for them to be willing to even perform a bit better, and fight a bit harder.
And I might just add something to that as well, always with a marketing hat on and a branding hat on. But those kinds of training touch points, especially for customers, but also for vendors and partners, these are really great opportunities to further reinforce your brand. So use your brand colors, make sure your logo is prominent, make sure that it looks and feels like it is unique to your product and to your brand, because it becomes yet another really strong touch point for customers or partners, and really kind of reinforces that messaging of your brand and your product, and your commitment to excellence as well.
Thank you both. And these were great tips. And also thanks everybody for bringing your questions forward. So we have a lot of resources to share with you. And this webinar is definitely one of those resources. And you can always find more webinars in our dedicated page. So visit our webinar page, talentlms.com/webinars, where you can see our past sessions and upcoming webinar sessions as well. Especially, Gina mentioned branding and reflecting your identity. We do have a dedicated webinar for that as well in the website, so check it out. And you can always visit our dedicated talent library website. So again, talentlms.com/library, so you can see more information about Talent Library, and our blog, where you can find, again, talentlms.com/blog, where you can find research that we have conducted, instructional design tips, interviews, and all the news about TalentLMS as well. If you want to send us an email, we are here to answer anything. So that's trainingteam@talentlms.com. And we love receiving your questions. And, not only that, but just also we want to hear how you use TalentLMS, and of course, how you benefit and what the results are from that. And another thing as well that I would like to mention here is that we have a question for you. So we would love to hear your feedback. There is on the chat right now a very short survey, and that will help us as well bring more sessions like this one to you, and of course get to see how you experience the session that we have created for you today. And I know that this can get long, but this survey is less than 10 seconds work, so we'd love to hear your feedback. Thanks everybody. Thank you, Amelie and Gina, for being here today.
Thank you. It was great to be a part of it.
Yeah.
Perfect. And thanks, Mary, as well, and everybody who joined the session. You will receive the recording again, so keep an eye on your inbox the next day, and we hope to see you in our next sessions as well. Happy training, everybody. Bye-bye.